can tell he's not shot in the head.
Yeah, sure. No, I saw the same GIFs on Reddit you did.
Oh, I didn't look on Reddit. I just rewound it a bunch.
Okay.
Did my own analysis. But yeah, it's obvious, but you have to like really want to go back and find out.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, yeah, I assumed. So with the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, did Dwight get shot from a different angle? Is like, did Abraham follow them after all? Or like, what's happening here? But you can see the muzzle flash from Dwight's gun.
Yeah.
You can see Daryl's head doesn't get shot. Blood splash. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Why did
see
he
how
shoot him
badly
in the
hurt he is.
shoulder?
I don't know. I mean, he obviously doesn't want to kill him. That's the only reason you shoot someone in the shoulder there.
But he also respects Daryl's badassery enough to know that he doesn't want a full capacity Daryl that he's holding hostage.
Probably.
Interesting. I don't know. I just feel like it's also interesting that The Walking Dead wants us to believe that a shoulder wound is non-fatal when you're essentially dealing with, at this point, less than Civil War medical knowledge. Like, people used to die all the fucking time of gunshot wounds. Mm-hmm. The only reason they don't now is antibiotics.
And at the very least, that shoulder's not going to heal right.
I wouldn't think so.
I can't imagine you can
Now, again, this is a work of fiction, so maybe, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if next season, assuming he survives, that he's not at full capacity and never mention this again.
Right.
But having said that, like the realist in me says this, people are like, oh, well, it's just a shoulder wound. And I'm like, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad in this world.
I wouldn't want to get shot in the shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the episode. Literally fade to black in a splash of blood.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the part of the podcast where we try to sell you on the necessity of the club at the Club Bald Move at club.baldmove.com. It's going to be kind of easy to sell it this week because I think one of the coolest things we've done in recent memory is the playthrough of the Telltale Walking Dead game, the Michonne episode. We got episode 2 that's going to be dropping next week. We're going to be playing it. Mm-hmm. The first episode was hilarious. Like, we literally cried laughing from playing it.
That's right.
And I got a lot of positive...
Storm and Norma.
A lot of positive... a lot of positive feedback on it. And the great thing is, it's if you go month to month, it's $2 a month. It's $12 for the year. If you wanted to be real ninja about it, you could sign up for the month, $2. You get 2 episodes of Bad Guy Michonne, is what we call our Walking Dead playthroughs. Mm-hmm. Check that out. We got On the Rocks coming next week, which is kind of like our Lunch with Jim and Aaron, which is where we just hang out with the audience and let them ask.
Next week? I think that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Is it tomorrow? Oh, yes, it's tomorrow. I'm
yeah.
sorry. It's actually coming tomorrow. And where it's like 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to take the mics, we're going to take to the cameras, we're going to answer audience questions and talk about whatever and get drunk on the air.
One of the other favorite things that we do that people tell us is
they like that.
Great.
So if you want more content, you're going to be staring down the end of the Walking Dead coverage coming up. If you want to keep the good times rolling, sign up for the club. You get the Michonnes, you get the rocks and the lunches. You ad-free feeds, all of our other exclusive club-only content, which there's a ton of. I mean, we got over a year of lunches at this point. All that Christmas stuff we did was cool.
Yeah.
And also it helps keep things afloat here at Bald Move. So if you enjoy our coverage and you want to see us keep doing it and keep expanding, really could use your patronage at the club. club.baldmove.com. Thanks in advance.
Are we ready for feedback?
We are. If you want to send us feedback, watchingdead@baldmove.com or on forums.baldmove.com. I assume you've got a pile.
Yeah, we have a shitload of feedback. So much that I spent an hour and a half leading up to this podcast thinking, oh, I gave myself like 15, 20 more minutes than usual. That should be enough. No. I was editing feedback literally until I pressed the record button here.
All right, let's get to it.
So
Can't wait.
We have a shitload. Joaquin, we start off with, there are a couple of long emails up front, but talking about interesting things. So Joaquin says, as I'm sure both of you did, I quickly began to roll my eyes with the cocktail of incredulity and bored ire as soon as the Morgalizer began to lecture Rick about all life being precious for the nth time. However, by the end of the episode, I began to see some merit in the writers having him deliver the line, "It's a circle," after having brought up the I save Wolf, Wolf saves Denise, blah, blah, blah situation. Not because it retrospectively vindicated his decision to spare the wolf, but because the line itself tied in very nicely to the overall theme of the episode, although not without some irony that Morgan failed to see. Firstly, there's the circular nature of Dwight captures Daryl. Daryl wakes up with a gun in his face. Daryl escapes. Daryl yada yada. Dwight yada yada. Mm-hmm. All this Dwight and Daryl stuff. However, in this instance, the circle that Morgan was supposedly espousing as some type of cosmic karma actually ends up manifesting itself in exactly the opposite way that he described, not as a positive karmic force rewarding good deeds, but as some perverse parody of karma, where good deeds, in fact, are punished and end up coming back to bite you in the ass. So there is that, right? There's those two opposing arcs of Daryl and Dwight versus Morgan and Carol,
right?
Morgan and Denise.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting point to bring up, because I think that makes his point. I don't think his point is just you do good things happen. I think that's less nuanced than the point he's trying to make, which is we really don't know the consequences of our actions. So how can we say that killing is the right thing? Why not just try to do the good thing when you can?
Yeah, I mean,
the thing that's immediately good, right, which is to preserve life. And I get his point.
I do. I feel like, though, it's a short hop from there to why do anything,
right?
Or as you said, why not do anything you want to do? And that's what I don't like. Like, it seems like it robs everyone of their own agency.
Sure,
except for the simplistic. You just can't kill anybody.
Yeah. And Joaquin goes on. Secondly, we have Carol's arc potentially coming full circle, with her starting to resemble her frightened season 1 self more and more, as well as effectively exiling herself, though this time being self-imposed as opposed to the first time it happened. The fact that for over half a season both these character arcs have been steadily taking turns toward the ultimate climax in this last episode means that Morgan's "it's a circle," if not the rest of his pseudo-philosophical bullshit, was well placed in the overall context of both the season and the episode. Agreed. I think, you go back and they belabor the point quite a bit with Morgan, but I think once you can get to the end of it and you can kind of look back on it and maybe forget how much they harped on it, that the point itself is interesting and valid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but
I know it's the difference between making a good episode and trying to get your point across.
Sure.
I don't know, just maybe be a little more subtle, writers.
Yeah, and trust your audience, because the audience that you're trying to beat over the head is just never going to get it, and they're not watching the show for that. And
yeah, it's not that they can't get it; it's just they don't care.
Yeah,
right? Like that.
So, like the Bill Simmons of the world are not watching The Walking Dead for intricate, and he's not going to be listening for that kind of shit. Whereas the ones that are watching it for nice character moments don't need to be hit over the head a million times.
Right, they're primed to read into these things.
Yeah.
So. Okay, moving on to a couple of emails about Carol. We've talked a lot about her nature and things like that. Rachel writes in, and she argues that Carol's natural response to difficult things is to remove herself from the situation. And so she lays out the case. She says, I know people want to blame Morgan for Carol leaving Alexandria, and while he may have been a catalyst in her decision, her flight is a well-established pattern of behavior. She's going to run down several points. Number 1, when Rick banished her from the prison, she agreed with his decision. 2, after killing Lizzie, which I think broke something in Carol, she confessed to Tyrese about Karen and David, gave him her gun, and told him to do what he had to do. Tyrese forgave her, but Carol was in a place where she would have welcomed death. Number 3, after helping our survivors escape Terminus, she again was going to leave until Rick asked her to stay. 4, once they found shelter at Gabriel's church, she tried to leave again, but Daryl stopped her. 5, the entire time they've been in Alexandria, Carol has been breaking down quietly in the background. Disguising herself as a meek woman was viewed as a comedic relief by the fandom, but a large part of it was Carol rejecting the person she had become and retreating to that season 1 version of Carol that is still very much Carol and no less valuable to the community, as Tobin pointed out. Sam tried to connect with her, and she was cruel to him because she did not want another child becoming attached to her after Lizzie and Mika. More importantly, Sam was a child and an abuser, so he probably reminded her of Sophia. Sam's death likely affected Carol's latest decision. Yeah, I think for sure. Number 6, we saw her break down and cry after the wolves attack. I think so. Every time she has had to kill, it gets harder and harder. The incident with Morgan and the wolf, who ended up trying to save Denise, was a turning point. And finally, number 7, Tobin talking to her about motherhood compelled her to argue with Maggie, which distracted them, and Carol probably blamed herself for getting caught and being put in another situation where she had to kill, both in self-defense and preemptively, to protect herself from herself and the group. So she says, Carol doesn't want to kill anymore, but unlike Morgan, she cannot be a conscientious objector. As long as she is part of a community, she will feel compelled to rise to the occasion, but it gets more difficult each time to the point where she is endangering the people she loves, in addition to the psychic toll it is taking on her. So she did what she always has done. She removed herself from the situation.
I agree with that in broad strokes. I do disagree with some, like the point she's making about her desperate housewife routine. I didn't find that as an avoidance behavior. That was a legitimate tactic that her and Rick were kind of like we don't
Certainly
trust
at
these
first,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, so it might be that she played the role so well that it got kind of crossed up in there. But
Yeah.
I don't. I mean,
And with Ed, her first instinct wasn't to run, right? Like, that was... She probably could have. I don't know. She's such a different person. Like,
Yes.
mentally, her toughness just... She wasn't that person back then. But
I still don't like
her instinct was to just kind of tough it out, right?
It's one of those weird. It's like I agree with the emailer that that's what the show is trying to sell us on, but I don't know that those points all necessarily connect. And it's either
Right.
needed more time or
Yeah, I feel like they just needed to go less far in that direction, and I would have been on board, but I don't know.
they needed another episode or two before I believe that she would just run again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So
Well, apparently some people are on board with it.
yeah, that's
and buy
fine.
it,
I
so.
mean, because I do think that's exactly what the show is trying to do. Whether it's successful or not is probably a lot. It's probably a lot about I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to say about that.
Okay, well, Kimberly might chime in on this
Okay.
from New York. She talks about Carol's personality change, says, I too can see how it looks like a rapid change, but I think it is PTSD. Never having had PTSD, I can't speak to how it comes on. But the whole group had been on high alert for so long, really just barely surviving, and then they come to Alexandria and get to slow down. They're still surviving, but it's more than that. Carol does her homemaking thing, but that was a real part of her old life, and she did seem to enjoy it. It must be difficult to have these pieces come back when you are a different person. I could definitely see a big personality conflict arise. And as for her choosing not to kill, I can see that. I can see how she had done it to survive, but she doesn't have to anymore, and it's actually a choice now that they are in Alexandria. Yeah, I mean, so that is a good point. Carol has not had an opportunity to slow down, and I think Alexandria at first was not really that opportunity because she had to get in and she had to see what was up here. Is this another governor situation? What is going to need to be done here? And then once she realizes, okay, this is not a place that I really have to fear, maybe some of the stuff she's done has started to weigh on her.
Well, and that I also think that I find this a more believable arc for her, that she is a traumatized individual that did what she had to do to survive. She gets in a situation where she can relax, but she chooses not to. By the time she gets around to relaxing and dealing with the actual post-traumatic stress, then the stressors come back again, and she realizes kind of what the toll it's taken on her. So, like, there was a large stretch at Alexandria where things were just going peachy king, and in fact, her and Rick were fucking up stuff more than they were helping, and she still was all coiled tight. And then by the time she let it down, then you had the wolf attack, and then the zombie attack, and then the savior attack, and
she's confused.
Yeah, she's
emotionally confused.
She's
right?
coming and going on, and she's messed up in the head.
I feel like they're going that way with Maggie a little bit too, especially with like Enid saying, "Look, take some time to rest," and she does this episode, and she has a moment to, not worry about the tomatoes not growing and shit like that.
Yeah.
Fighting for her life or the governor shit that she went through. Like maybe that's part of what of the stress that's taking its toll and causing this problem with the baby. Or who knows? Christian writes in and says, in your last podcast, you discussed the necessity of violence in a post-apocalyptic world and whether Carol is weak or not for not wanting to kill anymore to protect the people she loves. Although killing people is a necessary thing to do. This reminded me of the natural state created by Thomas Hobbes in his philosophic work, Leviathan.
Holy shit.
I know.
Going Calvin and Hobbes on us?
Yes. This is going to get deep. In which he tries to deduct the legitimation of a sovereign state from a natural state. Now, stick with me here because this gets pretty intense for our typical email. This natural state describes Carol's conflict by means of rational acts of violence leading to an irrational scenario. In Hobbes' hypothetical natural state, there are no civic laws and no moral laws in place. The only right that matters is everybody's natural right of self-preservation. Similar to a post-apocalyptic zombie-infested world like in The Walking Dead, in order to achieve self-preservation, you need goods, and goods are scarce, so there is competition. And because there are no rules and laws, the rational thing to do is to mistrust other people. It It is rational to attack those people before they attack you. It is rational to arm yourself. If you don't arm yourself and or strike preventatively, other people who are less uncomfortable with violence and killing will kill you. The result is a war of everybody versus everybody. But a war of everybody versus everybody is a highly undesirable, irrational situation because you live in constant fear. So the rational act of arming yourself and killing other people preventatively leads to an irrational situation. I think this contrast reflects the inner conflict of Carol. She knows that killing other people is a rational thing to do, but she can't tolerate the irrationality of the situation anymore. Later on, Hobbes argues that the same rationality dictates that you create a state and that you put a sovereign in charge which enforces the laws. You give up rights, but you gain peace.
You give them a monopoly on force.
Yeah. Perhaps Morgan building a prison is foreshadowing a world in which you try to establish some laws and some form of political system so you have the chance to start to resolve the irrational war of everybody versus everybody. I thought
AKA,
that was,
which I think is the actual legitimately interesting part
Yes.
of an apocalyptic situation.
Absolutely, and you've talked about that from
Sure.
almost the beginning of this thing. Like,
Yeah.
when are we going to get to that?
Yeah.
Do you think we're coming around to that finally?
Has to be.
Okay.
Has to be. The fact that you have other types of civilizations that you... I mean, that's... this is Model UN stuff, but every nation out there does things differently. You have some that are kind of broadly in agreement, but you have to get along with everybody. Just because someone wants to jail their political dissidents or someone wants to execute their criminals, which, you can't go to war over every little moral and philosophical disagreement. So I think that you have to essentially... You have to I guess the essential thing to be a good state is you have to respect the sovereignty of others.
Sure.
And
there has to be some kind of institutional sovereignty, right? There can't just be all for themselves.
Yeah. And so I think that's going to be interesting to see what are the limits of that going to be, because there's intolerable acts as well. Like if someone doesn't respect other sovereign rights, and you have to eventually put a stop to them or they'll take over the world, or how much of the moral and ethical problems of, like, if you have one regime that is just completely destroying their people, not respecting anyone's individual liberties, like how much of that can the world tolerate before they're like, okay, fine, we need to put an end to this.
Yeah, and that butts right up against Carol's storyline with killing the people in the prison. Like, that's why she got banished in the first place, because she took unilateral
and she's
action.
Interesting, because what she's saying is that I believe that the state should have the power to kill or preserve life or whatnot, but I'm an individual that cannot allow that to happen. Right. Like, if someone comes, I don't give a shit what this policy or what our diplomacy is, I'm going to take this unilateral action. Therefore, I cannot live within this civil society. Right. Therefore, I need to be put myself outside it. That's all interesting stuff.
Sure.
Like I said, I feel like they cut a few corners to get there, but the crux of it, I think, is interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is out of necessity, just given the plot, or if this is something they consciously did, but it seems like now that we're in Alexandria and the threat is has largely been neutralized, or so they think at the beginning of this episode, certainly. And Alexandria can become some kind of civilization. That's never been a more pertinent issue than it is now. And so I think it is the right time to have these discussions with Morgan and Carol and think about those ideas. Eve, North Carolina, says, I had mixed feelings about this episode, too. A show this popular should not have so many plot holes. She's actually talking about last episode, because she mentions Daryl being unable to drive a stick shift. My feedback on the soldier that Daryl finds on the motorcycle.
Turns out Daryl had a lot further to fall. He also can't hear someone approaching behind him in a woods.
He's also not good at the things we know he's good at.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
She wanted to comment about the little statue that Daryl finds in the motorcycle. We got a shitload of feedback on this. Tons of people.
We've shit the bed.
I'll just talk about it in generalities. Thanks for writing in, Eve, though. So apparently, so we knew this was Daryl's bike. We knew that this is the actual bike he built in Alexandria with Aaron, and that this is the bike that Dwight stole from him. What I forgot was that he got this statue and put it in the bike.
Yes.
By like trading back the insulin to him, right? to save that girl's life.
Which we did.
So this is the good deed that he did that is now coming back to haunt him.
The problem with this and why I didn't remember it is because it made no sense at the time. We even remarked about when Daryl's like, I got to trade, I just don't give anything for free. Well, here's a carved wooden soldier. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, it was like some kind of principle.
If that was a genuine moment, it would have been memorable, and you would have remembered it when it came back around. So
right. But that's where the statue comes from, and so many people wrote in about it.
Now, what I really want to know is why, so no one has gone through that storage container ever since Dwight turned the bike over to the Saviors?
Yeah, that little pouch on the bike.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that, people I feel like once Primo got a hold of that, he'd been like, what is this shit?
Fuck
I want to
that.
pack this full of weed, and...
Right.
And that's why the chain of custody wasn't very clear either.
It wasn't because I honestly didn't remember that he stuffed it into the bike's pouch. I thought he might have pocketed it, and how the hell did they get in the bike? And yeah, but I guess that's it.
No, as soon as someone mentioned it, I remembered that, but I had no idea who ended up with the toy or what. So
yeah, all right,
whatever.
Well, lots of people also wrote in about this thing.
Okay,
we talked last episode to I think it was Zach, the hunter, who told us about the density of bones.
Sure.
And how hard it is to plunge a knife in to a human skull or to really any kind of bone.
Okay.
Eric E. and about 1,000 other people wrote in. Eric E. was the first one to say that they think knives are going into eyes and ears and soft parts, buttholes. I mean, knives are going in everywhere to kill these humans and walkers. So don't think about it too much. I feel like I've definitely seen some non-eye ear related kills,
I've seen
but
there's there's a pretty
temple's
thin,
pretty weak,
thin part of your skull right there. But I've also seen a lot of just dead center forehead shots
on humans or walkers.
Yeah.
Because
well, that's what Rick did to this guy. Like when he was starting to torture and intimidate him, and he just puts it right between the guy's eyes. So
you're right, which is a pretty dense part.
I would think that your forehead right there is one of the thickest part of your skulls.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. A lot of people writing in. I'm sure we'll get more emails.
We got to get a pig head.
We will have to prove it conclusively once and for all.
Yep.
We'll try and go in through the pig's eye, going through the pig's nose.
You can't go through the snout. You can't go through the snout.
Get a long enough knife, maybe you can. I mean, that's the other problem we've had is all these chin shots, right? With short blades.
Well, see, I feel like that's a great way if you're trying to target someone's brainstem.
But you need a long...
slide up and right it through there. That'd be...
You need a longer knife, though, I think.
Yeah.
We've seen some short knives.
Sure.
Being passed off as kill shots.
Yeah.
All right.
Right here, this whole area is no brain.
Right.
No brain. All you can lose the whole thing. No brain.
No skull, but conveniently no brain either.
Yeah. So...
Anyway, Landry says, I've had a question burning in my mind since I watched the episode twice as far. It seemed that Dwight and the group of saviors knew about Alexandrian's slaughter of Negan's folk at the compound, and about Carol and Maggie's barbecue on the kill floor. The way that Dwight mentioned this is not how we negotiate seemed to me that he knew about those previous encounters with the saviors.
No, that's he's talking about the same shit that the guys got RPG'd at the side of the road is.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, they like to come up and kill one of them for massive shock, and then try to kill him with kindness is what the saviors do.
Okay. Well then,
shock and awe, and then the olive branch.
Okay, I think it's also clear that whoever these people are, the saviors have lookouts. They have watchers. They have scouts. They're doing things similar to what Aaron was doing. Last
they have
season.
a protocol. They have a first contact protocol.
Right. So it wouldn't be a stretch to me to say they've been lurking in the background the whole time, seeing everything that our group has been doing. They clearly know about Alexandria. They know a lot more than we think they know.
Okay, but I don't know, because if they've just been sitting back and watching their ass get kicked in this whole time, that's stupid. Well,
I mean, it's not stupid to have someone hidden, and if shit goes wrong, report back, right?
Okay.
Because one person isn't going to make the difference. If a compound of 15 dudes get taken out.
I think it's a little bit so I feel like that you've got, you've had these skirmishes, and that it seems like the way things are going is that the Saviors, I'm going to assume, are a much larger organization, and Rick has interpreted the skirmishes as decisive victories, whereas the Saviors are seeing that as, oh, this is a problem. We need to start probing more in this area and build up more information. But like if they've literally been sitting and watching Alexandria for 2 months, it makes no sense that they allowed themselves to be taken out at their outpost. It makes no sense that.
Right.
Plus, when here's the proof that this is not a correct theory. We know the Saviors were looking for the people that blew up the bikers that tried to jack Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha. And when Rick hit the outpost, one of the things Paula said to Maggie is like, "Oh, so you're the people that did that." So I think they were ignorant of Alexandria until very recently, but they were smart and they've been looking for them, and that's why they've run into so many scouting and raiding parties, which is why I've thought it's been really stupid how our group has just been having these loud, raised voice conversations all over the damn place.
Yeah. No, it seems to me like they might have been alerted when Maggie and Carol were taken hostage. Yeah. And they got on the radio and they called in reserves or they called them backup. I'm sure the backup was either coming from another encampment.
Well, and we've seen time and time again how there's signs that say Alexandria, this many miles. Like there's these those should have all been pulled down.
But it's a safe zone. They're welcoming people.
I don't think that's true.
Not really.
Yeah, like that's what Aaron and Daryl are for, to find people, observe them from a distance, and recruit them. Yeah. You don't want signs saying everybody show up here.
Unless you're cannibals.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious if the Terminus folks tried that in the D.C. area, because the Saviors would have found them and kicked their asses all in.
Right.
Or maybe they trade them for meat. I don't know.
All right, let's move on. Dr. DeVito says, is Carol's gun hidden in her sleeve that she kills the guys in the truck with supposed to be Walking Dead's version of salvation comes from within, like the Bible with the hammer cut out at the end of Shawshank Redemption? Did you see any kind of thematic approach they were taking with Carol and this hidden sleeve gun?
No,
I didn't. I was too distracted by
being resourceful.
Yeah.
And also a very different approach than Morgan. Like, Morgan won't kill, period.
Right.
Carol just doesn't want to kill, but she made damn sure she was able to.
Right. She will kill.
Yeah.
For sure. But I don't know. Thought that was an interesting idea. So, okay. Another one where 1,000 people wrote in. But they're basically saying the same thing you said, which is basically the logic of Morgan doesn't work. It's stupid for him to say this all saved Denise, which saved Carl, when in fact he put Denise in danger in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to skip that. Thanks to everybody who wrote in about that. Luke says, just writing in to comment about the scene with Michonne and Rick in bed with the apple. Did you pick up on the biblical reference the writers were making?
Oh, shit.
I know.
Oh, shit.
Michonne takes a bite of the apple, gives it to Rick to eat, and he bites it. She then says, Jesus really came through for us this time. Now, obviously, in-universes are talking about Jesus the character. However, I can't help but think the writers intentionally staged the scene this way to make a funny little Easter egg about Jesus and the resurrection forgiving original sin, especially since the episode aired on Easter Sunday. How cognizant do you think they were of when this episode was going to air?
I don't know.
Is that something you can know when you're writing?
I imagine because of the especially with it butting up against the Fear the Walking Dead. I don't know. I will say that you got to be careful because, there's people that write in and get all pissed off as saying "goddamn." So you try to make a Jesus allegory on Easter and the Walking Dead with the original. That's flying pretty close to the sun there.
Okay, and I definitely didn't read that into it, but I don't know that it's not there.
Sure.
Isaac says, even though I knew it was going to be horrible walking into it, I had to see Batman vs. Superman. And stick with me because this is going.
Okay, I was going to say, did you fuck up and put some feedback to our movie podcast?
He says it was way worse than I expected. Same thing with tonight's episode of The Walking Dead. Both entities are shitty pieces of work that, if called creative, would be laughable at best, but their popularity justifies their existence. I think the people, me included, watching the show are to blame. If we stopped watching it, they wouldn't make it, or at least they'd make it better so we would, but we don't. I've almost given up many times, but this is it. I'm officially giving up.
Oh, man.
Done with The Walking Dead.
Oh, no.
I got to read one of these a season at least.
Yeah, sure.
Because that opinion is out there. Carol going sad all of a sudden. Daryl being an idiot. Morgan killing a walker simply by hitting him in the head with a stick. Not a sharp-ended stick, but snapping his neck sideways, huh? And also, Dwight got his dick all chewed up the day before, and he's already back in action. I've gotten a swift gust of air to my nether region and was put out of commission for hours. So a bite, not buying it. We didn't really talk about that. He did get a vicious dick bite.
He did get a vicious dick
bite.
Bite.
Just a day before? I don't know. We don't really know how long it's been, or do we?
Plus, he's wearing jeans. That's my thing.
No,
if
we
these
do
people
know how long it's been.
wore denim, they
right.
Yeah.
It's. I think you could take a bite to the dick and still keep trucking.
Well, how are we going to test that theory? You can't exactly
bite a pig's dick and see how it goes.
Oh,
we need a live one for that though. That's
through
not gonna
denim.
Work.
Yeah, that's a lot of people said that he sustained the injury he sustained, but I don't. That's got to be like like you would unless he bit the dick off,
right?
And got infected. I think you'd recover by the next day.
Yeah, you'd be sore, but you could power through it.
Sure. I mean,
unless I don't know that he got a hold of any of the truly sensitive, like the ultra sensitive parts. Like you bite into a testicle, and pop that thing open, you're not going to have a good day.
If he crushed a testicle, fine.
Yeah.
But they said it was a dick bite, so and it's through a layer of denim.
Right. I think he's good.
Yeah.
Jack says, thought I'd pitch in on something that probably won't get read, but is becoming increasingly noticeable despite the ups and downs of the season. Something dawned on me about 10 minutes in. Where's Carl been this season? When he appeared with that bat gun, I actually forgot that he existed, so seeing him on screen was a bit bizarre. Did a bit of research, and it turns out that for 12 episodes this season, he's either been absent or had minimal involvement in the episode. I went back further, and it seems like season 5 was roughly the same. It's a shockingly low turnout for one of the original characters.
Is his schoolwork keeping him busy?
Like Chandler Riggs?
I gotta say that there's not been a lot. Like, to be fair, there hasn't been exactly a history of Carl heavy episodes. Like, you might see him in the background or whatever, but like I don't know that I've gotten less Carl. I mean, arguably he's had more roles, meaty roles with his interactions with God. I've already forgotten the kid's name.
Enid or Ron?
Ron.
Yeah.
With Ron and Enid, and the kind of his maturity and getting his eye blown out, and I don't know. I feel like he's had a just fine amount of. Daryl's the one that I think has been AWOL up until his last few episodes.
Yeah, I agree. They haven't done much with him. So okay, yeah, I mostly agree with you. I don't know that I've really wanted to see a whole lot more from Carl right now.
I'm getting enough Carl in my life.
Yeah,
adequate amount of Carl.
Okay, Judd B asks about a wrap-up cast. Are you guys still doing one?
Yes.
I think season's been good enough to where we can talk about it in relation to the other seasons, the first half.
And as a reminder, because I'm assuming we'll drop this ad in somewhere else in the podcast, but we are also doing a playthrough of the next episode of Michonne's Walking Dead video game. We did the first one. These are for club members only, so if you want to pony up $1 or $2 to get access and then cancel membership, I ain't gonna be mad at you.
Bad guy Michonne.
Bad guy Michonne. So we'll be doing next week. The finale sometime next week. We'll release the episode of Michonne, and the week after that we'll do a wrap up cast.
Okay, that's it. That's it for the feedback.
Okay.
I cut a lot of people, so I'm sorry. We just had an avalanche.
Lots of dry pie going through.
Holy
people's
shit.
system.
Yeah.
We do have spoiler section, yeah?
We do.
Okay.
So I guess we'll get to that.
All right. If you'd like to send us feedback, watchingdead@baldmove.com or forums.baldmove.com. And now for the spoiler section.
And we're back with the spoiler section. I've got I don't know, four emails or so, 5 emails.
Well, what I want to talk about is the obvious foreshadowing of Carl's gun.
Right.
Like, that's probably Negan's gun, yeah. Like,
oh, his actual gun?
Or yeah, because I'm thinking,
I thought maybe it could just be
who
an
would be
acolyte.
so up Negan's ass that they are putting Polaroids of Negan's victims of getting beat to death with Lucille up in their bunk, and also would carve a symbol of his baseball bat into their gun.
So are you saying Negan's dead? I mean, he can't be dead.
No, I don't think
we
he's
haven't
dead.
Even
I
seen
think
Negan
that's
yet.
Negan's bedroom. That well, but someone was sleeping in that bed, and it's also pretty ballsy to sleep in Negan's bed.
And how would they get his actual gun if they hadn't killed him? Or
my expectation was that he's got some shit in all the outposts, and he chooses to stay there or not. I don't understand the bed thing, but I was thinking up until I started really thinking about it right now that we're going to see a scene where Negan relieves Carl of his gun. Oh, you've got you've been keeping Bradley warm for me or something. I don't know, but.
He names his gun Bo Jackson.
Yeah, really shitty, like prison tattoo quality etching on this gun.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like I thought it was a name. I thought it was like, is this Enid? Like, is she like Andy in Toy Story writing her name on all the guns? I'm looking at it and I'm trying to figure out what, and then I realize, oh shit, it's a fucking baseball bat with a loose wrap of barbed wire, which isn't what Lucille looks like either. So what the fuck?
Yeah, I was wondering if this is like some symbol that represents the Saviors and Negan as a whole. Like, is this something that they've kind of rallied around? An sort of ideology, similar to any symbol for
for the Saviors.
Sure.
The other thing I want to point out is the man trying to steal a horse with the spear is an obvious foreshadowing of the kingdom. Because all of the knights, Ezekiel's knights in the kingdom, wear this kind of body armor, and they're mounted, and they have the spears and whatnot. And I also wonder if the people that ran into Carol are also people from the kingdom who have been deputized by the Saviors to find Rick and his people. And that Rick is inadvertently stepped on his dick by being indiscriminate in who he's killing. Because he's going to...
Could be.
All Out War essentially is an alliance between Alexandria, the kingdom, and the Hilltop.
Yeah.
And I remember there was some tensions with Ezekiel, and I couldn't remember if it's just because Ezekiel is a kooky guy. And that's the other thing I thought, because I was trying to explain this to my girlfriend, and I remember that like Ezekiel has this like chivalry system set up, and he has all of his people. He refers to his like soldiers as knights, but I also remember that not all of his people think this is a bit eccentric, but they go along with it because they respect Ezekiel, or maybe it's because he's got the tiger. But I remember the kingdom being kind of a fucked up, weird place. I don't know how it's going to read on television.
Okay.
But clearly this guy and Glenn saying the world's bigger, and Morgan saying, "Oh,
came
this
from the west, the east, whatever, all that shit." Yeah.
They're going to. I feel like they're going to get to the kingdom, whether we have a tiger, or there's a live tiger, a CGI tiger. I don't know.
Paper tiger.
Maybe they'll really downplay the whole feudal aspect of the kingdom and just have like it makes sense if you send your soldiers in body armor. Like, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Like, why do you let them wear fucking tank tops and short shorts? Like, put them in fucking armor.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's what I got. What do you got?
I have an email from Nick H., who wants to talk about Glenn and Maggie and respective deaths and their movements around town.
Okay.
Says, I'm a listener who used to listen to 3 or 4 Walking Dead podcasts, and I'm just here to suck your dick, so I'm not going to read that part. Anyway, I'm emailing for the first time to call BS.
As long as it's not a bite. As long as it's not a bite.
Well, I added that part. Anyway, I'm emailing for the first time to call BS on the feedback that you got for this past episode about Denise's death serving no purpose. In the comics, Glenn and Maggie decide to move to the hilltop, which sets the story in motion when Negan shows up and bashes Glenn's head in on their way there. Now, in the show universe, Glenn and Maggie have no reason to want to move to the hilltop. However, with Alexandria's only... He's getting there. Okay. However, with Alexandria's only doctor dead and an OBGYN at the hilltop, I think that Denise's death will solidify their decision to move to the hilltop and put the plan in motion for Negan to show up during the finale and fuck shit up.
This must have been before we saw this episode. This feedback came in last week, because now you got Maggie with an obvious baby crisis.
Right. It may have come in, yeah, after last episode.
Okay, which I assume is going to motivate them to... That's going to be the impetus for them going to the hilltop?
Seems like it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Although I don't even know if Glenn's going to make it back. Like, how the fuck does Glenn get out of this situation and get back to where Maggie and him move to the hilltop? It's weird
that, like, even with this show can't get out of his own pacing issue. Now, next week's going to be a 90-minute episode. But even still, it feels like they're a little bit rushed. Like they got too many fucking irons in the fire heading up into this final confrontation.
I just can't imagine a scenario where these people get away from Dwight and his goons. They're outnumbered. They're disarmed. Like,
no, I think that
nobody
Negan's going
knows
to
where they
show
are.
up with them all outside the gate. It's going to be eeny, meeny, miny, mo, beat someone to death, and then everybody else can go free because look at how magnanimous, whatever.
Magnanimous, yeah.
Look how meslomathiame.
And then, so what happens after that? Like, I don't know the exact timeline here. So Glenn and Maggie then move to the hilltop, decide they're leaving Alexandria?
Well, that depends whether Glenn's brains are leaking out or not. Like, so I guess so. Is there enough time
to do all that? I don't think you could put him
Glenn
in danger
and Michonne
twice.
is captured. Rosita is captured too because she was right by Daryl when Daryl got his shoulder.
Everybody
so
who went out is captured except for Morgan and Rick on his way back.
Because like it doesn't seem like there's time for either of them to escape or for Dwight to come back and say, I'll let your people go as a show. I'm trying to think of how Glenn gets back into Alexandria and then joins Maggie to go to the hilltop. It just feels like that. I don't know. Like she's gonna have to go to hilltop without him.
Right.
I mean, we're in the spoiler section, so fuck it. I know that that's one of the things that they try to do next episode is to get Maggie to the hilltop to save her baby.
So, but it can't be with Glenn.
It can't be. I can't imagine.
Because the other big spoiler from this episode is that it's going to end on Lucille killing somebody, and we don't know who. Because it goes to first-person POV. So many people wrote in to tell me
whoa
about this.
You mean we're not going to see who actually dies?
We are not going to see who dies
this year.
It's going to go to first-person POV from an Alexandrian. Somebody gets hit with it. The camera drops over. There's another squishy bat sound, and it fades to black.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I know. It's the worst. It's the fucking worst. So many people wanted to know, what do we think about this as a cliffhanger?
Oh, my God.
I just, that's not...
Did you not know?
It's not interesting. It's not interesting. It's just like to get people talking about something that doesn't have any weight to it. Like, who is not really the weight? It's what happens afterward.
Yes.
How will they react to
Yes.
it? And we've talked about this time and time again.
The cliffhanger is Negan doing this, and now what does Rick do in response?
Right.
Not who fucking dies. Why do they fucking not understand that?
It's
like
a
they don't know how
fundamental
the
writing
cliffhanger.
thing, yeah.
They don't know how to cliffhanger.
I know.
The cliffhanger of Best of Both Worlds Part 1 wasn't, which of the bridge staff is going to be fucking kidnapped by the Borg? It's fucking Picard's kidnapped by the Borg.
How does this change the equation?
What are they going to do about it? God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so furious. Oh.
It's the worst. I really hope that's wrong, but so many, like,
and
spoiling the dead has it on their site, and I think they're usually right, so...
I got the taste of rancid dick in my mouth because this last few episodes I've been
through
walking...
the genes.
Through the genes. I've been walking back my criticism of Kirkman, saying, like, you know what? In a fucked up post-spoiler universe and world society, maybe the game he's been playing is not a fuck you to the fans, but a I'm going to do this to protect you from your own worst impulses. And then if this is true...
It just feels like fundamentally bad writing.
And also, like, that's the gut punch of is seeing, like, Glenn in the comics beat to death, and the reaction to that was, like, if it was a first-person perspective and you miss all that, and then you come back and it's the aftermath, like, I get it. Part of this might be, like, how do we show this on AMC? Mm-hmm. But it's just a raw... I mean, I saw a guy get beat his brains out with baseball bats several times in a few episodes ago.
There was a fan-fucking-tastic shot of someone getting their guts eaten out this episode, which I didn't talk about, but was awesome. One of Dwight's guys, who's still on the tracks, is being eaten eaten dead by a zombie. Tell me you can show a man's guts being eaten out of their body, but you can't show someone getting hit with a baseball
I'm talking
bat.
about in the opener of Terminus, we saw we saw several guys get beat to death with a baseball bat and their throat slit. We talked about how horrific it was.
Right, we did.
Like,
yeah.
This is, man, I'm really disappointed because that's not how you cliffhanger, man.
No, for sure.
Like, arguing who got the bat is the least interesting part of it. God damn it, people.
I can't even understand it. Like, from a hype perspective, does that do it? Is that what people want to talk about in this fan community? Like, is that
We've been because the spoiler friendly comic community or the people have been talking about this. We're done talking about it.
Right, we've been talking about it all season.
I want to see it executed and executed well, so that next season I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see how this is resolved.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
Man, I'm really bummed out, dude. I wish you'd save this for the very end of the podcast.
Well, we got a couple more emails that I'm not even sure at the moment don't have anything to do with this. Let's see. Dan from Philly says, I've been on Spoil the Dead too long, and I'm embarrassed to say they're never wrong. And the word is that this will be a total cliffhanger as to who Negan kills. If it's done from the POV of the victim, so apparently we won't know until next season. My question to you guys is, if this happens, do you think it's another complete fuck up, which we've talked about? And do you think the audience is at that critical time in the show when they get played once too often, and just write it off and move on to something else? So I guess that's an interesting question. Do you think that this will actually persuade anybody to quit watching this show?
Well, it's weird because if this half season was as bad as last half season, I think you would have been at a critical juncture and you'd have been hemorrhaging audience, and this would be, well, I want to see if they fuck up they fucked up the Negan introduction. I'm out. Since this half season has been so relatively good up until this last, god damn it, why did I have to say it? I don't see how in the world they could fuck up the last 2 episodes. It's like I'm daring them to, right?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm probably, like, even as bad a fuck up this is, I still think that there's a lot of interesting story for them to tell in the All Out War and post All Out War, and I honestly can't see anything at this point that would make me stop watching until we get to the flash forward.
Okay.
Because
how far in the future is that?
I feel like we'll have next season of All Out War.
Okay.
And then we should, if they go with the comic, flash forward. Now they could do the further adventures of Rick and Carl and fill in that 2-year, however many year gap it was. But I don't. To me, I think the time gap works in their favor because they can just play. Chandler Riggs as if he is a late teenager, and kind of they finally gotten right with his chronology.
Right.
So, and they've got so many. I mean, by that time they'll have 50 more issues past that they probably can burn through. I don't know. That I just can't believe that they thought that was the way to do it. I just don't. I don't see how that makes it out of the writers' room. I really don't.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, so much of this show seems constrained by budget. I mean, I cut a couple of emails that were talking, about
that's not a budget constraint. That particular thing, though, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, how much time do they have writing these episodes? Is it something where they're like, you get this deadline for writing and that's it?
But for the finale?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I
mean, it's like, oh, we only got 15 more minutes to write the finale. Well, fuck it, POV it.
And that seems like a thing that comes up on day one, right? Like,
yes.
We know we have this moment. What do we do with it?
And also, Gimple, what the fuck? I get it that you've got, like, I guess, time off. But as a showrunner, aren't you thinking about this show? And you're, like, don't you have a notebook where you're jotting down ideas? And
yeah, probably.
Like, if he's not coming in to first day of class with a fucking outline, what the hell is he doing? I don't know, man. This seems pretty... Oh, wow. Yeah, I can't wait to see Seppenwall. I cannot wait to see him next week.
Maybe that's why he noped out. Has he seen the finale? Do we know?
I don't think he has, but who knows with him? He could have already seen it, and does he write it with? And can you? Is it possible to write a review if you have spoiler knowledge without without even coloring your opinion? I don't think it is.
I don't think so. No.
So, jeez.
All right, let me take your mind off that with one final email. Jono, he wrote in with just a metric shit ton of calculations on whether or not you could stab through a human skull with a knife and different states of composition. I'm not going to go into that because...
Is this a spoiler email?
It's too much, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's something we can only talk about in the spoiler section. So, after determining how quickly a body decomposes and saying that this would effectively, in a 2-year jump, kill off all the walkers, do you think that's a possibility? Is there any chance that The Walking Dead gets to a state where there are no walkers anymore? I don't see that happening. I can't imagine that they're so worried about reality here that decomposition would be so much of a factor that they'd let that threat completely go away. I think there will always be walkers in the show. I just don't think they're the main focus anymore, certainly. The herd, to me, was like a final gasp of the walkers.
Well, so, and, one of the interesting things they do, because I read a couple episodes past the flash forward, and that's where I stopped, like right when they got into, if you're familiar with the Whisperers plot line, they're about halfway through the Whisperers when I stopped reading. Not because I was not enjoying it, but because I'm so far ahead, and I was seeing how my enjoyment of the series is being adversely, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about this a million times. One of the more interesting things is that they've kind of gone into a post-herd society where they now actively manage herds. Okay. In a way that's kind of, they used a lot in Rick's shitty plan with the quarry. Like, essentially you get on horseback and you have scouts way outside of the cities. And at this point, they're protecting multiple civilizations. You have these scouts, these border skirmishers that are looking for these herds, and when they see them coming, you have this whole system of leading them away and diverting their, like you try. It's kind of like, how we would deal with an asteroid. First, you got to identify them. Second, you got to come up with a plan to divert them, because you can't stop them. You got to nudge them out of the path.
Sure.
And they have this whole system that's kind of interesting in how they do that. So there's still shit tons of walkers in the post time jump. Whether that makes any kind of logical sense, whether they're going to be essentially Army of Darkness style meat skeletons eventually, I don't know.
Yeah, to me that feels like where it would go. I don't think they're going to eliminate that threat just through natural causes.
No,
I don't see that happening. But maybe they'll prove me wrong.
Although, I mean, I guess like if this was going for like, didn't someone say 20 years? Like, wasn't that like the plan?
I don't know.
Like, if you go 20 years in the future, then like you're still always going to have the deal of you go to bed with somebody and you wake up and they're eating you because they become a zombie. They died from natural causes or whatever.
Right.
You're always, I mean, the threat of instant zombification is always, it's just going to be different. You're not going to be going into buildings and having tons of walkers lurking around.
Mm-hmm.
You also, aren't you the Big Max Brook guy that like you could have a whole bunch of zombies frozen up in Canada that thaw on a seasonal basis, and you get like a fresh wave of walkers coming from the wet, or coming out of the oceans or whatever the fuck.
I don't know about the oceans. It's a pretty harsh environment, but yeah, I from the north, sure.
Yeah,
where their decomposition is halted for a good chunk of the year.
Yeah.
Then again, you don't have a lot of people living in those places, so how big
like
can the
all
herds
of Canada
really
is
be?
Like 30 million. Isn't it 30, 40 million?
I'm not totally sure, but it's much less than you think, given the land mass.
It's much less than you think, with like 300 some million people in the United States.
Yeah,
and then you would think that Central and South America would rot faster because it's hotter.
Yep.
So
not much coming up from the South, probably.
I wouldn't think.
I don't know. I just don't think the show's going to go there.
Yeah,
I think they want that constant background threat.
Sure. It's honestly, if you think about it, it's one of the least unbelievable things about the show featuring Walking Dead.
Yeah. So who cares?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we got for feedback.
All right. Again, one last time, watchingdead@baldmove.com or forums.baldmove.com if you want to discuss this. Get at us.
Yeah. And if not,
just a reminder, we'll be back for the finale. We will have the season review wrap up, and we will have another episode of Bad Guy Michonne.
Yep.
The Telltale playthrough for club members only.
Right. So
coming next week.
Whenever you tune in next, we'll see you then.
Bye-bye.